manage to bring Argus terrifyingly close to, no matter what I do.
And Rennie, you were asking about mud mat location?
Yeah.
Do you have a site layout diagram up there? Should I bring it to you?
I don't, but is it...
It's going to be pretty close to where we have the tool basket now, so...
So in the tool basket will be gone by then, right? So
yes. Yes, it will be.
So we'll just know what else is around there.
Yeah.
Is there anything, I mean, the IP's over here. There's just cables then going south and east, but there's...
East, there's an ADCP, but it's, I think, a little bit northeast, or...
It says it's in that, down in the channel there. How deep is it? Then we'll know.
Well, yeah, then there's 2 cables and soon to be 3 running south.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Oh,
Nico, I have a question.
Yeah, shoot.
So we've got a lot of things listed as time permitting, but the swap short period seismometer connection is not listed as time permitting. So is that a priority, or is that...
No,
I was asking
nothing on here except for, you know, getting the stuff
out of the
off our porch and out of the basket is necessary.
Okay.
So, you know.
Do we need to pick up the 45-pound plate that they dropped near the other bars and put it in the basket?
Yeah, that would be nice.
But again, it would be nice.
Yeah, everything's a would be nice if bad weather's coming in, right?
Right.
We have to come up when we have to come up.
What's the first task?
Pop a Niskin at 1500 on the fly.
Oh yeah, forgot about that already.
Unload find the junction box and then unload the cable. Pull the bungees off.
Is the cable going by the tool basket or going by the junction box?
It's going to go on the west side of junction box. We've got another cable figure-eighted over there already. We'll place it pretty close to that. And both these cables eventually, we might even run one of them on this dive, will be run up to Grotto. One will go through Rogers Pass, and the other one will go the same way as that blue cable that used to run to Tempo Mini. Or
oh yeah, so that one's, if I'm remembering, it goes up through here.
Yes, it does. So I've never run a cable through there, but we'll just follow the blue cable that's already laid. And
then it goes, Tempo Mini was somewhere in here.
Yeah.
On the... Is Tempo Mini still there and down? Or is it?
No, we recovered it.
Oh, okay.
I'm
going to miss having that little lighthouse beacon.
Yeah, well, it had fallen off the...
Yeah.
I know, that was my reference point. Yeah. You know, once I found Tempo Mini, I could orient.
Yeah, well, we've got new stuff up where Tempo Mini was. We've got a RAS PPS that we will be recovering at some point on this trip.
Is that the one that was by the bars, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys inspected it last dive, correct?
Yeah, it was covered over and stuff.
Yeah, I heard. Hope we get to see that again. And then there's a hydrophone up there.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That's where the new bars is sitting right next to the hydrophone with the yellow.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the yellow thing top is still yellow.
What did you expect it to be?
Well, I don't know. The RAS was covered in stuff.
We get, those are covers for our hydrophones just to keep sediment from building up in them. They're probably not necessary here. But we get them custom made by a small shop in Victoria that I believe mostly does figure skating outfits and stuff like that. It's like this same kind of spandexy material.
Yeah. That's very niche.
Very niche. They are our main supplier of hydrophone socks.
Hydrophone socks and figure skating apparel.
Yeah.
That's our business.
They both have sequins.
Yeah, we should start getting some bejeweling going on them.
Customized,
Supplying the greater
ONC
city
logo
area
and sequins.
Yeah, right.
Hydrophone
ONC,
covers.
ONC hydrophone socks.
ONC bedazzled socks.
Yeah.
I wonder if they know what we use them for.
Right.
Next time I buy some, I'll have to give them a little blurb about where they are. Might be interested to know that they're being scientifically
send them
used
a picture.
two and so kilometers underwater.
Yeah. Were you worried about the depth rating of your figure skating uniform? Worry no more.
Need not.
I can
Look
see
at this
that as a
photo.
selling
And
point.
I'm pretty sure the reaction would be, yeah, cool, great.
How many do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a question come in on the chat, and it said, how are y'all guys able to so accurately drop stuff off on the bottom since hydrothermal vents are really treacherous?
That can be that's a good nav question.
Sure.
Yeah, I was thinking go, Rennie, go.
We use a subsea acoustic positioning system called ultra short baseline acoustic positioning, USBL. So the ship has a transducer array. Basically, in layman's terms, the ship is talking, so like sending an acoustic pulse through the water. And the beacons on the vehicles respond. In our case, we actually are lucky in that we have for our vehicles, we have communications through a cable. So we can actually, rather than yell at them to talk back to us, we can send a trigger and they talk back. But basically what happens is it's based on the time of flight of an acoustic pulse through water. So seawater is about 1,500 meters per second. And so you can say, hey, I triggered you at this time. You responded this amount of time later, so I kind of know how far away you are. And there's a array of these transducers that actually can triangulate the bearing to that response as well. They call it ultra short baseline because those transducers are close together, and it's actually using the phase shift of the wavelength received on each one of those transducers to triangulate the location.
Layman's terms, yeah.
Layman's terms.
Yeah. I feel like I need like a whiteboard and like a diagram, possibly a laser pointer.
Sorry, I'm
I
not
mean,
doing
no,
a very good
no,
job.
I love it, I love it, I love it.
How many transducers are there in
In the Sonardyne,
Yeah.
it's either 3 or 4.
right?
Yeah. Has to be at least 3.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's basic. So when for the tool basket, as an example, is we lowered that with a beacon on it. And on the way down, we were essentially kept asking that beacon where it was, and it would respond. And relative to the ship's position, it would tell us. So the ship has a motion reference unit, so it knows where it is, how it's moving in space. So it knows if it's rolled or pitched or what the heading is, so it can get an angular measurement relative to the ship. And then we compare that with the ship's GPS. So now we have a lat-long position of.
Right, there's really a
Thing on
lot
the
of math
seafloor.
involved because as the ship rolls and heaves, the transducer is changing orientation, height, and so then you're doing the math both of that and the offset created by the motion there to the really small offset or the phase shifting that Rennie was talking about to get basically a Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah.
And this site has extra offsets because of the depth and temperature changes in
Right.
the water. So
What's
makes it
the
extra difficult.
like normal offset per depth, Rennie?
When we calibrated the system in Shakedown, I had 50% of the hits in a given test were within 0.6 % of water depth.
So 60 centimeters for every 100 meters.
Yes.
And we're going down 2,000 centimeters. Sorry, 2,000 meters. We'd be there
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. So at 700 meter, well, for the test, yeah. So for 700 meters, it was within a 1 meter or something. I don't know, I have to look at my, I'm just pulling this out, but like this was
Right.
a couple months ago, but yeah, at these depths, I don't know, we're finding it pretty good, especially now we have AUV maps of this area. So the maps that we use for the bathymetry, we can have Shipboard. There's a few different means. One is satellite altimetry, which is pretty rough, like pretty coarse. That's like Google Earth. You can look at the ocean and you'll see most of that is satellite altimetry. Then there's Shipboard multi-beam mapping, which is something we do on Nautilus as well. And I could talk about multi-beam sonar some other time, or now, whenever. And then it's a complicated system, but basically we're mapping the seafloor using acoustics. And then you can also use an autonomous underwater vehicle that has a multi-beam sonar on it as well. So if you're closer, the closer you are to the surface of the seafloor. Now imagine instead of being at 2,000 meters depth, you put the vehicle, you put this AUV down 100 meters off the seafloor, 200 meters off the seafloor, you can have a higher resolution map. And so that's what we're using here. And we find that our positioning now with our new system, with our new USBL system, and paired with these AUV maps, it's pretty spot on. We're able to navigate through the chimneys as expected. As in prior years, there was a offset and you'd be doing some map moving in your head.
So how does the satellite
Thank you.
altimetry work?
You can take measures of the sea surface.
Right, so they're an approximation based on sea surface, not even...
No, it doesn't penetrate the sea surface. So it's basically measurements over time of the sea surface from satellites that if you take enough measurements over time, you can eliminate tide and waves and swell, everything. And the actual sea surface will bulge in areas where there's a gravitational anomaly below.
Which is like a seamount.
A seamount.
But there's also a lot of offsets from things like currents.
Yeah.
And other things.
All that is like, it's measured over time.
Yeah.
Over and over again. And eventually there'll be a model of the seafloor based on that. And when we go, which we often do, to map locations that do not currently have multi-beam map, we find that the satellite altimetry can be quite off. It's usually a good enough approximation, but it usually just can assess mass pretty well. But for larger seamounts, it'll actually just be like, a conical seamount. And we've gone and mapped some that have been higher up in the water column and more kind of precarious, and others that look the same conical beforehand, and then you map them and it's a geo where it's actually completely flat on top. It was once at this surface and was eroded away and flattened, and then the weight of it caused flexure of the plate, and it actually sunk again. So then you have this flat, kind of like a chopped off seamount at the bottom, but those both showed up as cones and from satellite altimetry. So that's important for example, submarine navigation, but also from a geological perspective to start to get a sense of what's happening down. I'm thinking particularly of our cruise in Papahanaumokuakea, where we mapped a lot of seamounts that were completely unknown, and then dove on them. That was really exciting because it was like, here's something that's completely unmapped. We would go, we'd map a seamount at night, we'd dive on it in the day.
We'd have guesses and like bets as to what the actual height of the seamount was, because there was always a wide range based on what the satellite altimetry had said versus what we were actually finding.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then another product you get from multi-beam mapping is not only the depth, but you also have the intensity of the return, so how loud the sound came back. So you can imagine if you hit something that's harder, then it will return louder. It basically reflects louder, versus if you hit mud, it'll kind of absorb and diffuse into that mud, and the signal return won't be as loud. So what's cool about that is you can kind of get a sense of what's happening without diving on it. You'll know, okay, this could be a harder surface, this could be a softer surface. But you can also get burned by that, because there could be a layer of sediment over some really brilliant geology. But when you go down, it looks like a field of mud. And then you look at your backscatter and there's some beautiful folding and swirls. But that's, you know, can't control that.
So since this whole area is now a
Try going out of auto head
sanctuary,
and see what it does.
is there any plans to do like photogrammetry of the vents, or do a more in-depth photo analysis, like photo catalog of the vents?
Yeah,
So
that's okay. We'll let that sit.
a lot of that is very time intensive. So when I was talking about the AUV maps, like shipboard multi-beam mapping in itself takes some time.
Yes.
Given an area, but we do have swath widths of, you know,
Almost, the lights are almost
several
in the right
kilometers
spot.
on either side,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you get into deep water. AUV mapping, because you're closer to the surface, you get that higher resolution, but it's going to be a tighter swath, so it takes a very long time, and, you know, obviously time, money, resources to be out and mapping high resolution. So this whole endeavor, the whole protected zone, I believe, has an AUV map, or most of it is. But then when you start to talk about the higher res mapping, for example, we actually have a multi-beam on Hercules that can do even higher resolutions, close to seafloor mapping. At the moment, we don't. That also takes time. And then photogrammetry would be probably, despite the fact that you're going down taking photos, it does take a bit of effort, because you need overlap of every image, of every, you know, piece to reconstruct a three-dimensional model of it. So there is photogrammetry of a few of these vents from 2015. We were there and we did some. And I believe this year the plan is to do that again, possibly with different processing.
What camera are we using?
I believe that we will be using both the Herc HD cam and the digital stills cam will be firing during that as well.
That's right, because Chris is doing that stuff.
Yeah.
We used to have camera systems that would mount at the aft of the vehicle facing down, along with a laser and strobes, and we would drive over stuff using the laser. They'd figure out the approximate topography, and then the cameras, and they'd stitch together this
Yeah, that was a
site
stereo
area.
pair. That was like already, so and rather than structure for motion, it was just stereo pairs that were.
Yeah, all the images down in that hallway are done that way.
Okay.
It is kind of neat. You get like this fish draped over a rock. It just ends up all kinds of weird shapes.
It's super high res though, isn't it?
It is. It's really impressive what they're what they could put out, but.
Yeah.
So we had a comment come in saying that the fact that there's bumps on top of the ocean corresponding to what's on the seafloor kind of feels like stoner thoughts.
It seems made up, but it's real.
Yeah.
I think the important thing there is that there's I've heard as common knowledge that, oh, well, we've already mapped the seafloor because look at Google Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the truth is that that's really a very rough approximation that never even looked at the seafloor. It's really just looking at how the water interacts with what's likely on the seafloor.
Yeah, and it's usually like pretty decent, but we found some that are quite off in location and like on an XY plane off in location, and others that just like the shape of it is a bit different. And you really, I mean, the resolution we can get from multi-beam at depth is like, you know, you can get in 2,000 meters, like a 50-meter grid cell or better, maybe. That's much higher res than altimetry.
But still, it's not, like, if you really think about it, it's not really high resolution. It is with the current technologies, especially from a ship, but, you know, like it's basically we're making an approximate that says this 50-meter grid is approximately this depth. And if you get all the different grids, then you can kind of smooth it to get an idea of what the topography is. But 50 square meters is a decent size.
Yeah, and when we come down with the ROVs, you know, there's a lot that's lost in that. You can see, okay, maybe there's a rougher terrain or there's a chasm that's just completely unresolved there, but you get an idea still.
So the dive plan says we can pull the Niskin anytime between 1,000 and 1,500.
Yeah, we're ready for the Niskin whenever you are.
Okay.
Do we have
you pulled a Niskin?
I have, yes.
Do we have a sample
On
ID
this
for
one?
this Niskin?
Yes,
Okay.
it is NA129-039.
I'll keep an eye on everything else.
I noticed that there was a lapse in noting the Niskin. Oh, there it is. It says MEF Niskins, but we don't have sample numbers with it. I'll get to that after we do this.
Do we care which Niskin we trigger?
No.
Hey, could you make it, make sure it's the bottle number 1? So the one
Number one.
Number one.
Number one.
Niskin 1?
Bottle 1. We can.
Yeah, so the farthest back one, I think.
It's a little loud.
Where's he calling from?
Am I loud?
Really loud.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Excellent.
Just,
I'm really tired too.
you can step in the other room and talk, and maybe we'll be the right.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
Number one.
Number 1. Pulling Niskin number 1.
All right, well, everybody survived.
just so you know, we all looked around, just like,
Uh,
where's he at?
What was
Yeah,
he
you're good.
calling from?
Death
I'm
from
assuming the
above.
lounge.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I don't know what the
He's lashed to his filtering machine.
Oh, he's in the wet lab.
Keel hauling.
Oh my gosh. I can't even turn the wet lab down.
Nova, fix it,
I
please.
can't. I can't.
Before my eardrum goes.
Oh, I wish I could.
Ooh, knives.
Number one. Actually, that's... Do you want some light?
Sure. Porch light.
Yeah.
Looks like the red one.
His camera's drawn back, right?
Stand by. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think yeah, it's full wide, so feels really close.
Yeah.
Really close, huh?
Steve, the viewer, said that you sound very Darth Vader-ish.
Yeah.
It's like the voice of God.
They asked if you would say, Luke, I am your father.
There's no need for that.
No,
We
we
Not
don't.
Steve was calling from inside the sub. And that. There you go.
Yep.
It triggered. 1337 meters depth. Skin 1.
Set 3 back on Bandcam 1. Unless we want to stream the wet lab.
Oh,
No,
So Adrian,
no.
I have the MEF
I'm pretty okay with
that were
streaming
pulled
wet lab.
last.
Is that like payback?
Nothing
Awesome.
happening in there.
Thanks, Rennie.
well, okay, the ones that were pulled last dive, I don't have sample numbers for. Do you happen to have those back there? So I can relabel
Stand
this.
by.
There's a
It would be,
was that
I
Nico
guess, the
talking or Steve?
current sample number -1 and then -2.
there. How many were there done? Do you know?
Oh, great question. I was not on.
Yeah,
I can look into that.
it's okay. I just want to note it here. That way we're not confused later if you look at these targets. I want to say 4 or 5 of them were pulled. But
How many of those you got?
You doing okay over there?
I'm jealous. Oh, cheers, man.
Hey, Greg, what's the orange thing that you always have on your wrist?
Thanks, Rennie.
sure.
Oh,
Right as you
Oh,
take
wait.
like a massive
Did
bite.
you note this as the? What were you saying? Thanks for?
For the coordinates.
Okay, so these are the.
It's whatever people
This is
call
the
it.
coordinates
Buff.
from the previous.
Oh, this is not the coordinates for the
not
current
ones for
one.
the current one. I was just pulling this up to edit. So
Gotcha.
I
okay.
suspect you want
The coordinates for the current one, and then I will look into the previous ones.
Okay, here you go. Here's
Awesome.
the ones for the current one.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Is that
That's
a
what I
net
thought was
gator?
happening, but-
Yep, but it's got the high reflection safety, whatever on it.
That was the thing that was holding his
Oh.
hand on. You shouldn't make him take that off.
It's barely
Well,
hanging on.
yeah.
There.
Well, usually ONC is cold enough that I'll actually have the
Yeah,
net gator on.
Yeah, I have a couple of those from ONC's past.
Yeah, I've got some ONC
Make
net
sure I
gators.
bring them on.
You want to see if you can speed up?
I'm trying.
Oh, you're off the chart. Sorry.
So for those of y'all viewing satellite feed 1,
I still do it the wrong way the first time, every time.
Every time.
the cable is called
Wrong way
ESCA,
around.
and that is named after Steve's dog, Dr. Mulaney's dog. That was the lovely voice you heard a little
Darth
earlier.
Vader.
Yeah, Darth
Oh,
Vader.
great.
Yeah, that is his dog's name on the cable.
So as we get to the bottom, we'll pause because Argus, you're pulling Argus quite a bit, so it'll actually go back there. So you're going to be ending up, you'll be in this deep chasm here.
Can we pull the camera up to get a clearer view of this ocean water? And not the cable?
Love
Thank
this
you.
ocean water.
So we can see the jellies and the marine snow.
Oh, that's what's wrong.
So we have a viewer who thinks that getting some autonomous vehicles in the future to do some in-depth mapping of the hydrothermal vents would be well worth it. And I have to agree.
Yeah,
Autonomous
so,
is coming.
yeah. I mean, we'll be down there with the ROVs and doing photogrammetry, and I don't believe we'll be using the multi-beam on them, but maybe in the future we will for the Hercules mounted multi-beam for super high res.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And to that viewer, we did launch an autonomous glider earlier, like a week ago. Looks like a cool little surfboard, just chilling out, going around.
Yeah, so that one is actually pinging those fetches constantly to get positional data, so over time can be averaged.
So for a Sunday night, we've got quite a few people tuning in. A lot of people from the UK and Europe, Germany, Australia, Finland, Canada, China, France, Romania, Poland, New Zealand, Netherlands, and Bulgaria. So we have pretty much everyone all around the world, or like a good representation of everyone around the world pulling in right now.
Oh yeah, that's great. So that'll speed up time. Yeah. $1,500 meters.
So we had a great question come in, and I wish Ashley or Fabio or Steve was in here, saying, is there a way to reproduce the abiotic conditions around hydrothermal vents so that living organisms can be kept alive in that condition?
You'd probably would have to if you were to be able to do that, you'd have to do it on the vehicle.
Yeah.
They
'Cause
don't tend to make the transit up
No,
to the
no.
surface very easily.
I know they've reproduced the abiotic factors in a lab, but again, the taking that transit process.
For microbial life, I would imagine that would be easier. They
Yeah.
would be resistant.
Oh, jelly.
Yeah.
We're just starting to do that with corals,
Yeah.
and that would be a lot easier. I remember, what was it, 3 years ago, Rennie? We collected corals, and we tried to get like them either on a rock or the entire base, and then they were small boated. Like we got up to the surface, and within an hour they were small boated to shore.
Yeah. I was offshore California.
Did you have to do anything special to bring them back up? Or was it just like a little snippety snip?
No, we tried to get the entire coral. So instead of taking just like a sample and snipping off a bit, it was trying to find a small coral on a rock that we could pick up.
So to take the whole little bit of rock with it. That substrate. That's really neat.
Yep. Yeah, and like they're just getting corals to reproduce in tank and lab environments.
Oh. I wonder if they have to work with the pressure a lot, or if the corals can survive in normal atmospheric pressure.
I've never really, I don't know, in all the corals that I've sampled, usually when they get to the surface, they're still
pretty intact, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that octopus the other day.
Yeah, if you get like an octocoral and you, like there's a single polyp octocoral that gets pretty big. If you collect that wrong, then it'll be a mess when it gets to the surface. But if you collect it properly, it's still holding shape and seems pretty ready to sting you.
Ready to sting you? Is that what you said? Like,
yep.
It's, oh, nematophores are still intact. So have you gotten stung by one of those deep sea corals?
Probably.
Probably.
No, I try to avoid sticking my hands into the bio box until science has cleared it. But there are definitely times where like we're cleaning out the bio box afterwards, and like I look down, I'm like, that looks stingy. I'm just gonna let that rinse out. And sometimes we'll bring the vehicle up and it's just coated with siphonophores and other things, and those sting.
Oh. We, for my lab, we had donated this really, really, really nice, expensive microscope from Texas A&M University. And we were able to take some Portuguese man-o-wars and stick them underneath the microscope and then trigger the individual nematocysts. And it was so neat.
That's cool.
Oh, I have pictures of it on my phone. It is beautiful. And because it's a man-o-war, it's like this pretty blue. So it looks like something that an artist would create, and it's just little old jelly, little old cnidarian.
Another thing I don't want to get stung by. Like we were talking about passions earlier, Ollie's is staying alive.
It's not dying in a memorable way. Did y'all ever used to watch that show on Spike, 1000 Ways to Die?
No.
Oh. One of my life goals is not to ever die in a memorable way and end up in a show like that. So it's just
solid life goal.
Yeah. It was all these crazy things, and even if you were like this absolute saint of a person, they made you seem kind of seedy and shady and
You can't trust anything on.
No, you can't. It was really high-class entertainment.
As a person who works in television, don't trust anything you see on TV.
No.
Never.
I got contacted by Spike TV. I used to work for a pyrotechnic company.
Sounds right, yeah.
Casual.
That tracks.
In college, and one of our 4th of July, like, beach firework events went wrong.
You grew up in Florida, right?
Yep.
That tracks even more, yeah.
Well, so it wasn't even our fault. There's a whole bad batch from the factory. Yeah, I'd auto head again maybe too. So there were these 3-inch peanut shells that the fuses were done wrong on, and so they blew up at without launching. And then those set off the salutes, and there's some other ones that are sensitive enough that if they just get hit too hard, they're going to go off. So create a whole chain reaction. And so Spike TV actually ended up contacting me see if they could use it for like Holidays from Hell TV show. And I was just like, let's not. I know whatever comes out of this, it's not going to be what I'm expecting.
Right, you're not going to get the good end of the deal.
We had a viewer send us the link for the Darwin Awards. Yeah.
Other than that, it was a great job for a college kid.
That sounds fun.
So is that a natural career progression of like pyrotechnics, ROV pilot?
No. No.
It's usually the other way around. Not by choice. ROV explodes? No, I'm just kidding.
Ideally not.
Yeah. What was that one? Challenger Deep. We had a joke about it because I think that, I don't know if this was a rumor or what, but someone was saying that when it was being transported, it was supposed to go in a museum or something, and it was being transported across the country, and it actually caught on fire. And I was like, that's kind of like an inverted Viking funeral. Go on land and drive it away.
No.
So on that note, we had a question, what's the difference between a Niskin and a Van Dorn sampler? And I have never heard of a Van Dorn.
Nope.
Nope, okay. Moving on, next question. All of a sudden we got a lot of really high-tech questions all at once. Yes. Oh, you can talk to him on SPL, girl. So a lot of really good science questions. So do push cores preserve the soil layers as well as O2 layers? Where's Steve? I feel like so many of these are Steve questions.
Oh, no. Please, no.
We're going to get that really loud Darth Vader-y voice.
Oh, God.
I'm here. Ask me your questions.
No.
Because there's like 5 of them in a row that are really intense.
If you dare. If you dare.
So Steve, if you're listening to us, I'm going to copy and paste these questions for when you come up to the control van. Don't worry about answering them now, please.
Please don't. Do not.
The general difference is that a Niskin is just a water sampler, so we're just capturing a sample of water, whereas a Van Dorn, I think, is more technical. They're looking for particulate, and it's more of a live measurement.
That was awesome. Thank you. Oh, happy birthday to whoever this is. Yesterday was Kylie's birthday. We've had birthdays all week here on the boat. So every time it's the birthday on the boat, the cooks make you a very special cake.
You watching this?
Can I see the dive sign? No, you're good. I'm going to borrow this real quick. Thank you so much.
Not unlike every other control van in the world.
Thank you. Oh, we're getting close to the bottom. 1,800 meters and we're going down to 21.
That's right, yeah.
Sweet. I was hoping to get to see some vents before I went to bed.
I was going to say, it's right on watch change.
No.
Yep, and then we have to take some time at 75 meters or 50 meters off bottom before we get ready to descend, you know.
If we're having 6 days of bad weather, like say, you could stay up a little.
I know, I'm thinking the same thing. Go watch in the lounge.
And then you might have to take a nap.
Favorite
nap location.
Where's going to be our favorite place to take a nap?
Like, all of my favorite spots might not be the best spot during a bad weather time.
No, definitely not Monkey Bridge.
Fly right off the deck if you're on the
Monkey Bridge,
Zodiac.
Hot Tub, Zodiac.
Yeah. Zodiac hands down is the best one.
I feel like napping in bad weather can only happen in your bed, in your bunk.
This is true.
Yeah.
The lounge is sometimes very popular.
Yes.
There's been a lot of
For bad
sleeping
weather
people
napping.
in the lounge lately.
I've fallen asleep on the social deck, but not out of choice.
Starting to get
It's
cloudy
very
water.
It's not good.
I want to sleep on the social deck, but I feel like it would be too noisy.
Antisocial.
Antisocial, there you go, yeah.
It's kind of weird though when you fall asleep. Like I was very seasick.
Yeah, there's some chimney smoke here.
Smoke, yep.
Oh, look at the smoke already.
So Argus is just south of the grotto vents, but when we settle out, I think it'll end up being above the platform, instrument platform. We'll just have to be well above it when we back down to make sure we're not near all that.
What altitude do you want us to stop at?
When we get Doppler beams. Should be fine. Well, actually, no, we're a bit deeper now, so we'll stop Argus maybe 70 meters off the deck.
Okay.
Because I don't think the grotto's particularly tall, but
yeah,
we'll just get it set up then, do it right.
I think I have a reflection, but I don't have any actual bottom indication yet.
So you're at almost 2,000. Yeah, you should be starting to get it right at the bottom. Or you will in a few tens of meters.
So I tried to get Mark to come up here. And
wow, that was a change.
Yeah, sorry. One of the questions came in.
Oh, I know what that is. That's my thrusters.
Oh.
Right. Gone.
Sorry, Katie.
Oh, no, you're good. One of the comments was, could we ever get the cooks come up here just for a change of pace? Have them lead the discussion?
Oh my
The
gosh.
crew rarely comes in the van.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, if we could get, I tried to get Mark up here just solely for that beautiful Maine accent.
Yeah.
He is absolutely refusing. Same with Bjorn. I can't get either one to come into the control van.
One point, Mark actually set Argus and Nav and such.
Really?
Yeah.
I was talking to him earlier this evening. He has got the most incredible life stories just ever. Like
Yeah, he's hitchhiked like all over the country.
yeah, he was telling me about that.
All right, I think that might be real bottom.
Yeah,
Maybe 170 off bottom.
that makes sense from where you are.
Ollie, somebody said that you have a beautiful accent.
Oh, thank you. You what? It was you.
Wasn't.
You could just pass a note.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, 150.
150.
What kind of light situation do we have with Argus right now?
All the lights are on.
Okay, that's very bright.
So with this cable, it's a super heavy duty cable because it's around hydrothermal vents compared to the lightweight green cables that we've been laying. Am I correct on that?
It's a Nico question.
Nico.
I was staring at notes.
Ooh.
I'm going
Wake
to
up.
need you to
Wake up,
repeat
Nico.
that. I'm awake.
So
I'm just staring at other things.
with this heavy duty orange cable that we're about to lay,
Yes.
is it super heavy duty because of it's going to be around a hydrothermal vent compared to those green cables that we've been laying?
That certainly helps, but we use these connectors. We call them PBOF, and it's pressure back oil filled. They're wet mateable connectors. A lot of the times you can use them. You can use FalMat in place of them, but these have much better depth rating, and they're way easier to maneuver underwater. I'm sure you've seen when we're moving around those green FalMat cables, they tend to coil up and hold their shape, especially at deeper depths or colder temperatures. These are much better. They do have a bit of a thicker jacket because there is areas where we're going to lay this, where the seafloor, we're going to look for it on this dive. Actually, we're going to survey some of our lays. The seafloor will be shimmering. It's so hot. So it has in the past melted through and damaged these cables. And it would do the same to pretty much any cable we put down there without spending the big
beams already.
Yeah.
So with any of the equipment that we're lowering down today, is it to determine chemical composition of what's coming out of the vents? Or is that what the Niscanes are for?
We are deploying what we refer to as a RAS and a PPS, and the RAS is a remote access sampler, and that samples water coming out of the vents, and then the PPS is a phytoplankton sampler. And then yes, Steve is doing all sorts of science downstairs in the lab with the plume sample collected on the last dive, and I'm sure we'll be doing the same with the one we just collected.
Yeah, so we should probably, why don't we hold at 100? Are you at about 100 there, Argus?
Yeah.
So, and then we'll just start to back down towards it, because...
Okay, where do you need me?
So you'll just be backing down towards Argus. So you're out here, right. Argus is over here. It'll it's being stretched a bit. I think Argus will end up down here.
Okay.
So you'll just kind of back down towards and
wait
release
for a
some of that
Yeah,
pressure.
I would, so I'm in auto heading. So you're in auto heading, and you could continue down to a delta depth of like 25, 30. Let's do 30, because it's a super long tether. Rennie, I missed the shorter tethers. You should put in a word with Josh.
I don't know, I saw them just kind of bounce into Rogers Pass with Argus on the other side of it, and I was like, okay, maybe longer tethers are pretty
Oh
decent.
yeah, for this, the longer tethers are.
Yeah. Although you could see the
important.
bottom loop of it was like, well, you're in the smoke and you have no idea where that is, if it's going to be on a chimney or not.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, you should be deep enough that you can Doppler. Go to the Auto XY page.
Oh wait, let me get you in Doppler. You can't do that yet. Gonna get you dead rec.
Yeah, well, he's in auto depth at the moment, so you're fine.
Okay.
So he's going to put you into
there you go. You're
Doppler mode. So now you can hit auto altitude. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good now.
And then we'll watch it to make sure that it's not going to do anything crazy.
I don't think you want to use auto out here because where the terrain is quite
Okay. Auto
different
depth it
underneath.
is.
Yeah.
You're driving down. You got to click out and click back on. Yeah, that's the fun gotcha.
That's
yeah.
Little bug.
It'll pick a direction and just do 100%.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, so do we want to start to back down?
Remember next.
Yeah, he's backing down, so we should be getting more in line. Rennie, are the markers in NavG accurate, or do those have an offset as well?
Those are the original ones, so we've since updated the IP and stuff like that, so those are not in there.
Okay.
So
don't use those.
No, that's correct.
All right.
You can pull up HIPAC over there if you want.
Yeah, is it HIPAC too?
HIPAC serve, HYP serve.
Aha.
Yeah, so this is right here, that's the tool basket location.
Yep.
That's Argus, that's Herc. And then the main Endeavor field IP is over here.
Okay.
This is Rogers Pass right through there.
Yeah.
Grotto, Lobo, Dante.
Okay.
North Tower is there. Yeah, that's good. It's going as expected.
So to LZ that just asked a question about the deep sea shrimp, we're not going down there to specifically look for anything on luminous phenoms, but we are collecting different sediment samples and different larval trap samples. Fabio would be the best question.
Driving you down just a little.
We will save that question and ask Fabio when he comes up.
And then basically when you think you have the tether for it, you can spin around and we'll meet at what, 045 maybe, Rennie?
Yeah. Maybe just east.
I think I'm good. East. Okay, facing east.
Yeah, I think that'll...
Coming over to east and we'll see if we can spot you in any of the cameras. I think that's you right there. Just two little dots.
Where in down cam?
Yeah.
There it is.
Boom.
There you go.
Look at that. Perfect.
Nice. Yeah, just let Argus swing back a little bit more and then you'll be good to descend. And Argus, we're going to be looking for grotto vents on your port side of
What are we at?
Mezzo.
20 meters?
Relief or?
No, on the...
Oh, those are 20-meter divisions on both sonars.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. We could probably...
And you're looking out 30 on the Sea Prince at the moment.
If you back down a little more, that'll put you, like you're right now you're on the edge of a cliff. If you back down a little more, you'll be on the flats where the tool basket is. And then we can descend.
Morning.
Hey, Kim.
Okay, just say when.
Yeah, let's go descend here.
Okay.
All right, you pick a speed, I'll match it. Or I'll just keep the delta.
We should be near the tool basket. How high is the float off the tool basket, Nico?
I'm afraid I was asleep for that.
I didn't see it go in. Nova saw it go in.
Sorry, what was the
How
question?
high is the float off of the tool basket? Do you happen to know?
Oh gosh, I'm very bad at estimating
Okay.
distance. Sorry.
We'll be
What
kind
about
of
how many
meters?
novas was it?
I can tell you it's probably at least another tool basket height
okay.
and a half.
Okay.
So we'll just look for that as we're descending, make sure we're not coming down on it because we'll be pretty close to that location. So we'll 50 meters off deck.
It's like we've been here before. It's like we've been here before.
And welcome to all of our viewers online who, so many people are saying that this is their first time to dive with us at hydrothermal vents.
Oh, it's going to be really cool then.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know.
Just,
I can't really come down any farther.
No. I've stopped. Okay.
Yeah.
So earlier today, we were all sitting around the lounge, and when the hydrothermal vents came into view, all of us kind of poured in and we're watching it live, just as y'all guys are watching it live. So it's exciting for all of us down here as well.
Nico, I feel your pain. I had trouble sleeping last night and was hungry and missed out on both ice cream and pizza apparently as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough life.
Well, the 12 midnight to 12 noon shift is tough. You don't get those nice dinners and the ice cream and the cake.
We should make a plan to get up for it.
Oh,
next week.
Right
Yeah?
in the middle. Well, maybe
not
next week.
Not happening. Yeah. Yeah, I might flip back over next week.
Yeah, we're planning all those fun movie nights during the bad weather days.
We did load popcorn.
Mark has already said that he's got Nacho Libre on his downloaded, ready to go. I don't know if y'all have ever watched Nacho Libre. It is a classic.
Yes.
It is the best Jack Black movie ever made.
How do I reach these